Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Premiership Quarter. Today, I'm going to be doing my round 4 or gather round review. It's going to be fine margins, and this is going to be the last episode, you can call it, of me doing it like this, because hopefully next week I'm going to be doing it in segments where I'm going to be doing Thursday and Friday games called Under the Light as their own separate reviews. I'm going to do a potentially Saturday review and then also a Sunday review if I do the Saturday. But if not, I'll just do them combined and release that on the Monday. I think it's going to be a bit better. I can go into a bit more detail. It'll be a bit more for me to be able to watch the games more in tune and actually make notes with it so I can understand the game a bit better and give more and better content to you guys as well. So this is going to be me just going over each team, my thoughts on how they played, and just sort of where they're at, I think, at the moment. So to start with, it's going to be the Thursday night game between Adelaide and Melbourne. Melbourne obviously getting a really good win by 15 points. I tipped Melbourne by about 2 goals in my predictions, I believe, and I got that one correct. They were really, really strong, I thought. They were able to control Adelaide's midfield again. Adelaide just weren't able to break through. Defensively, really strong in that first quarter. Although Adelaide kicked a goal late, I thought Melbourne were really strong. Stephen May with a broken rib was excellent on Walker. I think he took 3 intercept marks in the first quarter alone. Jake Lever really controlled Melbourne's zone throughout the game as well. He was celebrating from the behind the goals vision when Melbourne's hex zone really, really pressed Adelaide and they just weren't able to get through. They would switch and it just wouldn't work. They couldn't pierce through. And Melbourne were able to cause a lot of stoppages with that. And from that, they were able to turn the ball over and then get out the back and kick a couple goals. It was a relatively inaccurate game from both teams. Bailey Frisch was the best goal kicker on the night, kicking 3 straight. Van Rooyen kicked 2 straight as well, but there was a lot of inaccuracy. Isaac Rankin could have potentially been a match winner, but he kicked 1-3. Petty kicked 1-3. Billings kicked 0-3. And it was just a relatively inaccurate game. I thought Riley O'Brien played pretty well against Max Gawn. Both had almost 40 hitouts, which is pretty impressive for the both of them, but it just shows how much of a congested game it was. Petrarca was excellent as always, could get the 3 votes. I think it was the most damaging play, had 8 clearances, for almost 500 metres gained. It's a really good game from him. But that's sort of it. Adelaide still struggle. They aren't able to kick efficiently anymore inside 50. It's a really, really tough stretch for them going inside 50 compared to how they were last year, where they were, I think, the second best team or potentially even the best team. So that's something they need to get back to. I thought Jake Saligo for them was really, really impressive. He could potentially be that midfielder who can be more attacking, who has got that leg speed to break through tackles. So it'll be really interesting to see if they play him more in the midfield and if he's able to back this performance up. And then you've also got Cozzy Pickett bumping, I think it was Saligo as well, and getting 1 week for it. It's probably 1 week, and Melbourne, I believe, are challenging it. And there's probably a higher chance they get it to 2 weeks instead of just 1 or even off, because it probably is not the right decision and it's not a football act and he's hit him in the head with a whilst jumping in the air. So it's not the best thing, and it's another thing on his track record that shows he might need to pull his head in a little bit with his aggression. Then the second match was Brisbane versus North, where Brisbane won by a comfortable 70 points. And the big thing that I noticed from this was how poor North Melbourne were kicking the ball. They were continuously turning it over from about the 20 metres out of their defensive 50 until about 30 metres out on their forward 50. Their ball movement was horrible, straight to Brisbane very often. Harris Andrews controlled. Jack Payne was really good on Nick Larkey, limiting to 1 goal, I believe. And then their forwards were able to just kick goals on North Melbourne's weaker defence. Danaher kicked 5, he was excellent. Cameron kicked 2, Hipwood kicked 3. They were really, really impressive. Lucky Neal was back to his best. You had McInerney having a good game. And then for North Melbourne, Tom Powell had 15 tackles, which is great. He's been really, really good for them this year. But outside of that, there was very little. I thought Cherry was good as well. Him and McInerney had a pretty good battle. Sheasel, again, picking the ball up, but he's just not at the same level he was last year, I don't think. He's getting the ball a lot, but North Melbourne just are struggling, and I think they're trying to be a bit too attacking, trying to leave their defense so alone essentially, and their zone's just not working. I think they're being a couple midfielders are being not as defensively focused as they should. LDU got uh, shut down. I'd call it. He wasn't as damaging. He wasn't bursting in front of the stoppage as much as he can be. And outside of that, there was not much to talk about with Brisbane. They were a bit lazy defensively, North Melbourne, and then just couldn't quite get to Brisbane's level at all, even though they started relatively okay. And now the third game was Port Adelaide absolutely demolishing Essendon by 69 points. Yeah, nice. Rosie, Butters, Horn-Francis, those three are going to be a superb trio in the midfield for the next 10 years. They're so lucky they were able to get those two in the same draft. And then to also get Horn-Francis a year after being drafted is excellent trade work from their front office. I thought Aaliyah was pretty good as well, controlling halfback. Him, Radaglia, and Zerk Thatcher really controlled the game from Essendon, and they were just not able to penetrate Port's inside 50 enough. Zach Merritt was good, but it's such a poor Essendon team. No one really stood out. I thought Gresham was probably their best player. He kicked 3 first quarter goals, but after that, he barely touched it. So it's not much you can do with that. Willie Rioli was excellent up forward. Finlayson was good, but he's obviously had the verbal abuse thing, calling someone whatever, we don't know. It's a bit poor, even though it's self-reported. It's not the greatest thing. Still, I think there's a chance he does get suspended. They're, I believe, doing it tomorrow night at the tribunal. He did give himself in, but you were still able to hear it on the referee umpires' microphones. So take that for what you will. But outside of that, it was just a really poor performance from Essendon. But that's going to be the end of this video. If you liked it, please hit the like button. Really help push the video in the YouTube algorithm. Leave your thoughts in the comments below about Gather Round and how you thought some teams fared. Subscribe to the channel if you like this kind of content, and thanks for watching.